Hello and welcome to another week of Sambo iRacing. It's week 5, season 2, 2024. We are in the Formula Vee at Lime Rock Classic. It's my least favourite week of the schedule every single season. And the reason for that, for me, is because there are no braking markers, no braking points, and it's basically draft masters in the V. So if you are someone that usually struggles in qualifying, don't really worry, because you'll be able to keep up with everyone, and then everyone's just going to crash at T1 on lap 3 anyway. Without further ado, let's get in the cockpit and do the lap. Okay, so just before we begin, full disclosure, I always say that there's no braking points on Lime Rock Classic. However, you'll notice on my weather widget, we have got the wind coming from behind and from the left down the main straight. Now, what that means is by the time that we actually get to turn 1, I'm going to be going a little bit faster than we normally would because the Tempest system is now with us, and I do actually use a tiny bit of brake on this lap, and that is not to slow the car down really, but it's just to change the balance of the car, get a little bit more weight on the front wheel so that I can get the turn in right. So if the wind is coming towards you, and I do recommend Race Labs, there are other people available, but I love Race Labs. Full details on how to get it in the description for this video. Use that. If the wind is coming towards you, you do not need to brake for T1. It will change every time though. So we're over on the left hand side, we're in 4th gear, and my little marker here is going to be the 1 sign on the left. Just as we go past that, I'm going to do a lift. I'm going to briefly get on the brakes, only barely the weight of my big toe, about 20%, and I'm going to keep lifting. I'm keeping a little bit of maintenance throttle on. I'm looking for this inside of the curb here, over on the right hand side. Just want to clip it, and I'm dropping it down to 3rd gear mid-corner, or sort of first third of the corner once the revs are in the right place. And any time that I want to sort of get the rear to kick out a little bit, you just pull off slightly on the throttle and you're just bouncing it on the way around. Again, holding it in 3rd gear. Now, as you can see, I make it back up to full 100% throttle. I'm far over onto the right-hand side, and I'm looking to go over the inside curb on the right. You will drift out onto the left-hand side. Now, it doesn't matter if you do touch the grass a tiny little bit here. Ideally, you'd just be on the rumble strip, but this one didn't slow me down, although I did only do 4 or 5 laps around here because, as I say, qualifying isn't very important. Get over to the right-hand side just to open up the entry into the next turn, and we're just going to do a lift. We're not touching the brake again, and we're only doing one more tiny little lift, and then we're back on the throttle for the remainder of the lap. So it's difficult to see the braking marker on this bit. Now, if you look over on the right-hand side, it's basically, we're still aiming towards the apex. I've got 100% throttle on at this stage, and I just have a feel of when to do the next lift. It's basically as we come back in towards the corner here. But if you're using a monitor, it's basically as that marshal's post on the right-hand side exits your screen. I'm going to lift from 100%, and I'm going to drop it down to about 25%. I'm going to leave it around there until I want the final little bit of rotation so I can get back on the throttle nice and early. And when I want the rotation, I just come off the throttle even further. It just kicks your back end out a little bit. You want to get over on the rumble strips. You can even take some grass on the inside. And if you look here, I'm 100% on throttle, and I'm giving it virtually full 90 degrees lock to the left. I clip the inside here just slightly. You can avoid clipping it as long as you don't exit too wide on the outside. Leaving it in 3rd and then changing up to 4th. 134 kilometers an hour, 82 or 83 miles an hour if you are using Freedom units or you're a Brit. Get over onto the left-hand side. To make this corner entry, you want to be over fully on the left-hand side. As you can see here, my wheel's on the rumble strip. Turn in. You can clip that very slightly. And again, we're remaining in 4th gear here. So you're making the turn in nice and early, and you're just going on the white line here, on the painted line. You don't want to clip this corner. Your car will drift out. This is where everyone will crash as well in the race. Start the turn in nice and early for the final corner here, turn 7. As you can see, again, I'm on the paint rather than on the actual curbing. And you don't need to exit too wide. Track's very, very wide for this speed in this car. Now, as always, I've loaded this test session from the schedule, so it should be the same conditions that we face in the race. And all my laps are on Garage 61. And in the description, you will find my Dropbox, so you can race my Ghost if you wish to. Park up nice and safely. And now let's watch from the chase cam. Righty-ho, second run through from the chase cam. Full speed. Over on the left-hand side. One marker. Tiny bit of dab of brakes, but only because the wind is with me. Feeling for the grip. Sliding it round. Trying to avoid the grass. As I say, it didn't slow me down. A little bit more of a lift to get the extra rotation. Back over to the right-hand side. You can clip this if you want. Up to fourth gear. Yep, this race is not going to be about outright pace. It's going to be about racecraft and guile. Which, given the state of the V's, doesn't bode well. Right. One final time from the cockpit with the driving line. Okay, if you're still with me, congratulations for having the patience. Final time with the driving line on. Little lift. Tiny bit of dab at the brakes, let the car slide around, try and hold it tight, over the curb on the right hand side, full throttle, get back over to the right. As you make it your way back in, little lift, a little bit more lift, back on the throttle nice and early. You can take a bit of this curb if you want. Up to fourth gear. Check TikTok. Go for a smoke. Thanks again. I've been Sambo iRacing. I'll see you in the week. Once I cross the line. Cheers. Bye-bye.